In the real world, we always wonder, what if something else happened in a different scenario? However, in this reality, we discuss and find out what truly happens in the world of What If. Hello, and welcome back to What If, Episode 2. Today we take a look at what if Jim Henson never sold the Muppets to Disney. First we start where Disney and Jim Henson meet, and they discuss the plans for what could happen to the future of the Muppets. Obviously in the real world, the whole Muppet Land got planned, and Muppet Vision 3D became a thing. However, in this world, that doesn't happen. The deal collapses. Jim begins to panic, drastically looking for an option. What can he do? Disney is no longer an option as the deal fell through. However, he spoke to his two sons. Would the Muppets relate more to adults, or would they still stay to the kids with adult humour at times? Jim was unsure whether his legacy could truly live on with Disney or any company, or even with his sons. He wasn't sure where to take the Muppets anymore. Jim discussed it with his sons. Both of them thought, "Dad, maybe it'd be easier that we just carry on the Muppets under our name, or we create a new company similar to the Jim Henson Creature Shop." However, in a stunning turn of events, Warner Brothers reaches out, asking Jim, "Hey, we've done the Looney Tunes before. Are you sure you don't want us to look after the Muppets, as we know how to handle these cartoonish characters?" But Jim was puzzled. He didn't see his characters as cartoonish. He saw them as general, touching characters that kids and grown-ups could all relate to, along with their humour, not really fitting the Looney Tunes style. So Warner Brothers was also turned down. Universal did also try and get involved, and so did NBC, but Jim wasn't interested. Jim really wanted his legacy to live on, and his only thought process was his sons could do this. Jim sadly passes away, but he fights knowing that Brian will carry on his legacy for making puppets and all sorts of different props for different movies. And of course, the success of the Muppet Christmas Carol still happens. However, it's not under the Disney name, and Brian Henson makes a brilliant film with huge success, but under his name, still honouring his father's legacy. He makes more Muppet movies this time. The Muppets 2011 doesn't happen, and Muppets Most Wanted doesn't get the damaged reputation that it creates. And Brian decides to make his own Muppet movies, still following that same trilogy that was created with The Great Muppet Caper, the original classic Muppet movie, and Muppets in Space. Kermit the Frog was the staple of the company. And in the end, the Jim Henson Creature Shop grew even bigger. And instead of just focusing on the Muppets, they decided to make other movies and work with other companies to create new creatures and practical effects, really enhancing their set building and character and prop building, making this company a staple to work with in the film industry. The Jim Henson Creature Shop really found its footing and became a massive success, and everyone loved the Muppets. Warner Brothers was very jealous that they couldn't keep this idea, and Jim's progress had truly lived on. And you know what? People did and always will love the Muppets, no matter what happens. And Five Nights at Freddy's still happens, and the Jim Henson Creature Shop really takes off. And he really develops some awesome puppets that a lot of people remember, and they become even more iconic than Kermit. However, the Muppet Show carries on. It gets reimbursed, and it gets made in the early 2000s, and it carries on, with seasons coming out every year. People loving these new characters, along with all the beloved old ones, like Kermit, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Sam the Eagle, and of course Waldorf and Statler, who become the highlights of the comedy. The Muppets were never made to dominate the box office. However, they did dominate the cultural landscape, making people really remember these characters as they appeared on merchandise and sold loads of t-shirts, cups, mugs, drinks, and even food products as well. The Muppets were just cultural icons. Despite everything that Jim had been through, his legacy was truly living on. So, what if Jim Henson's sons did carry on his legacy? Well, Muppets Land wouldn't exist. Muppet Vision 3D would not be a thing. And the idea of theme parks and the Muppets would not mix. The Muppets remain something rare in entertainment. Very rarely do you find puppetry that really makes a difference in the film industry. But the Muppets were one of those, and their characters lived on and truly showed the world humour and just overall creativeness in the skills of puppetry. And Frank Oz continued to work with the sons to evolve the company further, while also remaining family friendly and keeping close to what Jim had envisioned from the start. Thank you for watching What If Episode 2. See you in the future of What If.
Real thrill.